My name is Jake Valancourt. I'm with 10X Engineered Materials. And on the phone today, we have Rick, who's one of our distributors. And Rick has had a lot of experience in shipyards and some industrial type activities where he's introduced the 10X abrasives and technology and a whole bunch of know-how and helped his customers essentially decrease their cost per square foot and bring some other performance benefits as well as the whole safety to the table. So, Rick, why don't you sort of tell us how we got started, what you've learned, and why you think it's useful for future customers to look into this technology.
Sure. Good morning. Well, ultimately, I'm a paint guy, have been for the last 25 years. And so we've always been involved with the post-blast opportunities, whether it's a water tank or a fuel tank, the exterior of a bridge, or even floor coatings in a food and beverage facility. And so when I found 10X on LinkedIn here a couple years ago, had a bullet point sheet called up and called out all the advantages, which were low dust, improved efficiencies up to 30 or 40%, environmentally safe and safe to humans, with no heavy metals, no silica, and of course the slow formation of flash rust, which is key and important out here in Washington State where it rains a little. And so thinking one or two of these things were potentially game changers, but putting them all together, I thought there's just no way, it's impossible. And so Jake, that's when I called you and we spoke and got our demo palette set out, started doing demos. And we quickly found that all the advantages were true. And so here we are, we're about a year and a half into flipping several different customers off of coal, copper, nickel slag, and garnet, and making strong believers out of 10X here in Washington and Oregon.
I appreciate all that. So, Rick, if you had to estimate how much money you've saved your customers collectively, do you have a number in your head at all? Or has anybody said anything?
Sure. Well, probably the best and easiest example is our largest shipyard customer. And we just did the bag count savings year to date. And so this specific shipyard was using 5 million pounds of coal slag a year, which equates to approximately 120 truckloads. And as we're running through May year to date, and their average being pretty typical through a year, they're going to end up about 40 truckloads of 10X this year. And so that works into about a 60 or 70% reduction in usage. And obviously that's important. You've got a time environmental person watching what comes out, loading the pots, cleaning up the ground around all the blast areas. It's just a tremendous amount of savings around that reduction of use.
That's huge. I mean, even just on the pound for pound, you're reducing by 2/3 the amount that you now have to dispose of. That's a significant savings in most areas of the country alone. So the average landfill price is something like $50 a ton. So when you send 2/3 less tonnage to the landfill, I mean that's a real bottom line savings right there. But you're not having to reblast, right? That's the shipyard folks that we've talked with. Their biggest praise really was safety, getting rid of silica and heavy metals and beryllium from the environment, the blasting environment that is. But then even bigger, after the safety benefits, which some say there's a savings if they're able to optimize their cost on compliance with silica, beryllium, lead, whatever programs they might be running there. So there's that optimized savings. But then on top of that, you now have much lower cost per square foot because the rework from the flash rusting is pretty much gone. And
That's right.
On the military work that I know is really becoming bigger and bigger portion of where 10X is getting used, just by law of large numbers here. That's a natural transition that we're seeing. They are not able to use a hold tight or some sort of product like that, and this is a game changer for them because now, even though they can't use that product, they can get a lot of the benefits and hold that blast for a week or more at a time, which That's the biggest feedback I've heard from the shipyards.
Well, and to expand a little further on that, you're right, it's true. And I think it's a derivative of the lack of embedment that 10X provides the substrate. So we're seeing not only low flash rust, but improved adhesion results as well. And we're saving the time of having to go blow down or brush down or wipe down the substrate. So all in all, I think the reasoning behind the flash rust resistance adds additional value outside of just that.
So, Rick, I know this is a bit of a harder question, but I get asked this all the time. Well, that's all great and fine and dandy, but what's the cost? What's your price per pound? And a lot of times I get asked that question in the context of, well, the grit we're using now is not even 10 cents a pound. So how could you
right.
compete, and where are you at? And I know that it's a manufactured product. It's not mined. It's a whole different animal, of course, being a superoxalloy, but the price per pound is different than what a lot of these customers are used to seeing. So how do you answer that question of, well, what does it cost me?
And that is a tough question to ask, but fortunately for us out here, most of the people asking it are friends and folks we've had long-term relationships with. So it becomes kind of a chuckle joke answer at first, but I guess what I initially say is that it's expensive per pound, more expensive than you're going to want to pay. But let's prove why the cost per pound doesn't matter in this case. And we can very easily do that with a demo, side-by-side demo with what they're currently using, and prove that even though we're 3 or 4 times the cost of, say, a coal slag, where we can save them 25-30% blast cost at the end of the day. And that side-by-side demo, which can be done in an hour or two, at very, very little cost investment of time for a customer, it proves itself every single time, and it does not lie. When you can throw 100 pounds of nickel slag in and get 5.5 minutes blast time, and then follow that up with 10X and get over 10 minutes of blast time and 40% additional surface or 50% additional surface area, it's pretty easy to extrapolate that out very, very quickly on an iPhone or a bar napkin for that matter, and much less put it into a spreadsheet and do the real math on a real project.
You've had the product now for about a year and a half, and would you say that this has definitely opened it up for your customers where they're able to get more done in the same amount of time? Or, I mean, have you guys quantified anything like that now?
Yes, and after the demo, we're shooting about 50% on ordering truckload post demo for large projects, and the no side of that 50% is just we just don't have the right project in front of us at that time. The customers believe it. Again, just getting the demo done. Don't ask me, let me show you. That's really increased our opportunities to show the technology.
Makes complete sense to me. It's a lot easier to believe what we claim once you actually see it with your own eyes on your own project, right?
It is. And I had to see it several times and repeat to believe it myself. And so, it's a lot easier for us to go prove it when we believe it as well. But you start throwing those advantages out in front of folks who've been blasting for 30 years and just can't believe it. You can't make a believer out of someone unless they see it, period.
Absolutely. And to that point, you're in the Northwest there, Rick. So what region are you guys and gals working in? And how, if a customer is listening to this now and seeing this, how should they find you? How should they get in touch? And, what should they expect in terms of being able to do a demo?
We're very reactive to demo. We've got we set up a blast trailer demo unit here at the end of last year, and it's kept pretty busy. But we put a little 3.5 bag pot behind an air dryer in an enclosed trailer, so we can pull up to a project site or a shop and be in and out of there in literally an hour. And the proof would be in the pudding at that point. Just find us on the 10X website. We'd be happy to come out and do a free demo anytime for anybody within driving distance.
Awesome. That's great, Rick. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes with us. We'll put the links up to get in touch with you guys. And thank you so much for letting us know, how this has gone for you. And cheers to a whole lot more.
You bet. And thank you, Jake, for being such a good partner.